Well, wasn't that magnificent? Absolutely. Let's give another round of applause. Though I've often wondered how long it would take 300 people to leave this platform. I think we're about to find out. But that was marvelous. Bear in mind with me this evening, I've got a few thoughts, and really I've geared them in many ways towards a somewhat younger audience that we normally have. I don't usually have this many teenagers here. So the thoughts that I've got this evening are geared very much towards them, though what I'm going to do is take you on a journey, or take you back to a story that involved me as a very young boy back in England. But I want to start just by reading a few verses from the book of Matthew. In the book of Matthew, we see very famously where Jesus is talking, and he says this. Jesus says, "Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." When I was a young lad back in Coventry in England, about 7 or 8 years old, our school was kind of just around the corner, I suppose, from our home. In fact, I've got this wonderful image that I've created using the wonders of modern technology. If we can put it up for me, Betty. There you go. Using the wonders of modern technology, this is kind of what our block looked like back in the day. And I'm going to try and use this pointer just to kind of illustrate some things here. Is it going to work? Well, it doesn't work very well. So I'll have to use my voice. Now, if you look at that picture there, you'll see where it says, "My school." That's where my school was. In front of it is a road. It's called Ravensdale Road. And the way that I would go from school to my home, and see where it says my home, that's my home, we would have to go down this road, Ravensdale Road, get to the end, turn right on Morris Avenue, and then turn right again onto Longfellow Road, and my home was on Longfellow Road. We lived in Poets Corner. We were told very specifically that is the route that we must take if we are to walk home. I could go the other way, which would be to turn right out of my school, turn left on Melody Road, and then turn right on Longfellow, but that was longer. But if you look at that picture, you'll see in between Ravensdale Road, which my school was on, and Longfellow Road, which is the road I lived in, there was a field. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that the shortest distance between my school and my home was through the field, where we were expressly told, you do not go through. Going through that field is trespassing. Now, 7, 8-year-old Mike Harris knew very well that the guy that owned the field, his nursery was towards the left of our picture there. So if I cut between my school and home and through the field, the probability is he wouldn't see me. So most days I cut through the field. So one day I decide I'm going to take the shortcut, and I see also in the field a young lady, one of my neighbors, a girl about my age, looking, and if you look at the right of the picture, you'll see some squiggly stuff. It looks rather rough. That represents a bramble bush, just this big bramble bush that was on the edge of the field. And this young lady was looking into this bramble bush. I was curious. So what are you doing? She said, there's a field mouse in there, and I'm going to get it. Now, I was 7, 8 years old, and at that age, you're curious, aren't you? You like creepy, crawly things. So for me, the idea of catching a field mouse was pretty cool. I could just imagine the look on my mum's face when I walk into the house, having caught this mouse in the field behind us. So I joined her in her efforts to try and catch this field mouse. But eventually, she got tired of it. And sure enough, they were in there. We could see them. But she got tired of it. I didn't though. And I kept going until eventually I caught that thing. And I had that field mouse in my hand. Oh, I was so proud. Home I go. Mum is going to be thrilled with this. So I go through the field. I get to the back of my house. And I guess as I lifted the latch on the gate, I must have loosened my grip, because at that point that mouse bit my finger. And of course, my reaction was to let go of the thing. I was 7 or 8 years old. My next reaction was to cry. I had blood all over my hands. I went running up to the house and told my mother I'd just been bitten by a field mouse. Well, she didn't really know what to do. This is the first time this had happened in our family, that someone had gotten bitten by a field mouse. So she called up the doctor, and the doctor said, go down to the hospital, and maybe they'll give you a shot or something. So my dad drove me to the hospital, and they decided to give me a tetanus shot. It was the first time I'd ever got a tetanus shot in the bottom. Yes. Oh, didn't want to do that again. So they gave me the shot, and on the way back, I remember my dad reclining the passenger seat all the way back so I could lie back like this because I was a bit sore. But I do remember getting home, and as my dad pulled up outside the front of our house, my mother came running down the garden path. She said, what did they do? Did they give him a shot? Yes, they gave him a shot. She said, because I just found a half-grown rat in our back garden. See, I didn't know what a field mouse was. What I caught was a rat. Let me tell you something. You are being taught some very, very good lessons about the right way to deal with your life, about the right path that you must be on. But there are times in life when we see things in the path that we're told not to go on that tempt us. They might seem rather cool, they might seem rather interesting, they might seem rather pleasing. But let me tell you, you take that journey and go down that path, there are dangerous things to be had. Young people, when you're in your teenage years, you are in what I call, or at what I call, the age of regret. Let me explain what I mean by the age of regret. Many of the people that I've met in my life who have struggled with certain things, and perhaps typically addictions and things like that, will look back and say, I started when I was in my teenage years, and boy, do I regret ever the day that I did such a thing. So listen to what's being said. Listen to the lessons. Listen to those who are telling you the right path that you must be on, because it will take you safely home. But be careful of that wider, more appealing path, because it's filled with dangers. You know, friends, it's been a real joy, hasn't it, this evening? We have had a feast of music. Every genre, every type of music. I think everyone will go home happy tonight, having enjoyed what we have heard this evening. I want to thank Nathan. I want to thank Heather. I want to thank all of the other faculty who are here this evening, having instructed and taught these amazing young musicians. And let me tell you guys, for we, and I'm something of a musician myself, I'm a tuba player, so something of a musician. Sorry, tuba players. But we are excited to see you guys and to hear you guys playing and singing all of this music. It fills our hearts with joy. So I think on behalf of this congregation, and I ask you to join with me right now as we say a special thank you to our group and to their leaders. Please join me. And just for that wonderful round of applause, I know they've got something very special for us Salvationists right now. So over to you, Maestro.